It was one of the most popular and longest-running sitcoms of its time.
Ooh, I love that sound.
In 1989, Family Matters introduced audiences to a working-class African-American family from Chicago.
Yes!
And a nerdy neighbor with a catchphrase who took the world by storm.
Did I do that?
28 years later, EW is bringing the cast of Family Matters back together for an unforgettable reunion.
I hadn't seen these guys, but to see them now the way they are is wonderful. It's like, it's heartwarming. It makes me cry.
For us to be all together again, I believe it's God's plan, and I believe He kept us alive for a reason. So I'm excited to see everybody together. And of course, I love them all. Yes.
We love you too, Mama.
The following program.
Modern style.
Don't lie to me, you've been eating donuts.
Oh, Carl, did you have some of those ones we always have to get? Oh, you did. Look, there's a little jelly on your thing. There's some crumbs on your lid.
Excuse me, baby. This is a family matter, and you're in the line of fire.
The story of Family Matters began back in the late 80s with another ABC sitcom, Perfect Strangers.
Balky, the apartment is a mess. I think we should get a maid.
Of course, and I hardly think getting a young woman to milk a goat is going to solve our problem.
Perfect Strangers was a sitcom set in Chicago. It starred Mark Lynn Baker as this good Midwest boy who ends up taking in his cousin, played by Bronson Pinchot, who's from the Mediterranean. These odd couple cousins are forced to live together, and hijinks ensue.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy. Hey! Hey, 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 hey!
Perfect Strangers was produced by TV heavyweights Bob Boyett and Tom Miller. In the 80s, Boyett and Miller were behind a string of hits, including Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, and the early Tom Hanks sitcom Bosom Buddies.
Heavens me, I have been so rude, I haven't introduced us. This is my sister, Hildegard. And this is my sister, Buffy.
Family Matters came about because ABC wanted a show about a black family. And Bob Boyett and Tom Miller turned to Michael Warren and myself and said, hey, let's do a black family.
William Bickley and Michael Warren were seasoned writers with a long list of credits, including Welcome Back, Kotter, Laverne and Shirley, and Happy Days.
They had written together for over a decade and worked on Perfect Strangers from the very beginning.
ABC was interested in a black family, so Michael and I went off and created a family. And that was how it came to be born. We just started thinking of characters and then they emerged on paper.
One of the characters already existed on Perfect Strangers.
Bartakamus, this is Harriet Winslow.
Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
Harriet runs the elevator here.
Whoa! Well, your job must have its ups and downs.
Harriet Winslow, the straight-shooting elevator operator, played by 39-year-old Jo Marie Payton.
Is this elevator going up?
No, this week is going sideways. The first year that I did Perfect Strangers, when I got it, I was contracted for half of the season. But then the character became very, very popular, and out of the 20, I think it was 26 first episodes, I did like 22 or 23 of them. And then at the end of the first season, Tom and Bob called me to a meeting and said, we're gonna spin your character off.
We cast Jo Marie because we decided to do a sort of spin-off on Perfect Strangers, and she was already regular on Perfect Strangers. So that's how Jo Marie came to be part of the mix, and it just went from there.
But I cried like a baby. I'm gonna get you a husband and some kids, and a sister, and a mother-in-law, and all that kind of thing. I said, well, okay.
The role of Harriet's husband, Carl Winslow, went to Reginald VelJohnson. The 37-year-old actor was coming off his breakout performance as Sergeant Al Powell in the 1988 classic, Die Hard.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Well, I had done a movie, and the producers...
A movie.
Die Hard. It was a movie.
Like how you teed that up. Little thing.
And the producers had seen the film and they'd asked me to come in and audition. So, and that was the first time I met Joe. And it was there all along. It was just, I just felt it.
When we set out to create the show, it was primarily with Reginald VelJohnson in mind. He had just done Die Hard and was a standout in that movie. Reggie VelJohnson was really the centerpiece of what became Family Matters.
How come your lips taste so sweet? Is that powdered sugar on your mouth?
No, it's not sugar. It's cocaine.
Family Matters is just an all-American show about a working-class family and all of their unique dynamics.
How many donuts did you eat?
None.
How many?
Just one.
How many?
All right, 2, okay, 2.
How many?
All right, 9.
Harriet Winslow is your quintessential sitcom mom. She's a hard-working mother taking care of her kids and the house, and also keeping her husband Carl in line from time to time.
Carl Winslow, he is the king of the castle. I mean, he is a police officer after all. And this is a guy who wants to make sure everyone knows who is in charge. He's a protective guy.
Carl Winslow was first introduced as Harriet's husband in an episode of Perfect Strangers.
Hey, baby.
Hi, sweetums.
Hi, Balky.
Hi, Carl.
Meeting Joe for the first time, I knew that we would be together for a very long time. It was just something very special about her that made me realize that this is going to be it.
I won't be home for dinner. They got me working undercover.
Oh, I worry when you work undercover.
Oh, well, now, don't worry. I'll be all right. And I'll be home before you know it. Come here. Mwah. See you later. Bye, Balky.
The episode we did on Perfect Strangers was not the pilot for the show. We did an episode, I guess, more as a demo to the network to say, look, here's Reggie, look, here's Harriet Winslow. So Reggie, Joe Marie, Perfect Strangers, what do you think? And then based on that, we sold an actual pilot.
How? You got food in that car, don't you?
It's just a little something for the guys down at the station. A small case of ding-dongs.
Hi, Mr. Winslow. I'm Steve Urkel.
Turned out that hideous character turned out to be the most wonderful character that we ever invented.
Harriet, you put out all these fresh flowers? Now, Mama's gonna expect fresh flowers in here every day. I am not paying for fresh flowers in this house every day.
These are from our backyard. All you're paying for is manure.
In 1989, ABC ordered a pilot episode of Family Matters. The Perfect Strangers spinoff starred Jo Marie Payton and Reginald VelJohnson as Harriet and Carl Winslow, hardworking parents with 3 children, an aunt, and a grandmother, all living under one roof.
Girls, dog at the dinner table.
Okay, let's take it outside.
Sit down.
13-year-old Kellie Williams was cast as the middle daughter, Laura.
Laura is perfect. She's smart, she's beautiful, she is a straight-A student and a cheerleader. It's like, what more could you want from a daughter?
What's wrong, honey?
Science class. I'm in big trouble. I make it a B.
I got a B once. I framed it.
I think this was the best audition I had ever done in my entire life. Like, it was just so right. Everything was so natural, no hiccups at all. So, I mean, I didn't know I was gonna get the part, but I did really well on that audition.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Woo, looking good.
The role of Laura's older brother, Eddie, went to Darius McCrary. The 13-year-old actor was coming off a small role in the 1988 drama Mississippi Burning.
It ain't colored folks you should be talking to.
Who should we be talking to?
Start with the sheriff's office.
Why aren't you afraid?
How come you ain't?
The Winslow son, Eddie, could not be further from Laura. He is not a straight-A student, but he is into girls and cars and pulling hijinks that, you know, any boy his age might try to pull off.
Now, if you want those hot tops, you're gonna have to use your own money.
Use my own money for shoes?
I just remember being like really nervous, but it was a great audition, and I think it wasn't even a callback, really. But I didn't think that I got it.
So that's why they hadn't called back.
But they wanted you because they told me you had just done Mississippi Burning or
Yes,
something.
yes.
They said, we got this kid, he's big shots. He said, he's incredible. They had already told me, they already knew they were gonna use you.
Yeah, so I didn't think that I got it. So when I had left out, my mom said, how did it go? I said, it was a great audition, but I don't think that they liked me.
Let me hold him. No, Aunt Rachel said I could take care of little Richie. I want to hold him. You can hold him when you get older. When I get older, he won't be a baby anymore.
The youngest Winslow, Judy, was played by 7-year-old Valerie Jones.
She's really cute, adorable, has a really great relationship with Laura. It's just a little bit of the comic relief here and there.
Girls, who's watching my baby?
She is.
Excuse me.
Comedy veteran Telma Hopkins was cast as Harriet's widowed younger sister, Aunt Rachel.
Oh, that's okay. Nobody help me.
The 40-year-old actress had appeared in more than 30 episodes of Bosom Buddies.
Are you two farm girls? I mean, you are big, really big.
And nearly 70 episodes of the long-running hit, Gimme a Break.
Miss Harper, didn't you want to discuss the plans for additional pews?
I'm on pews, Nell's on bells.
Aunt Rachel was Harriet's younger sister, and she starts off the show as a fiction writer, and she has her own son that also lives with the family, Richie.
When am I gonna see the next chapter of your novel? I'm dying to know what happens.
So am I. I had worked with Bob Boyett before doing Bosom Buddies. That was my first show with them. And so when they got ready, they had already gotten Joe and, what's your name again?
Reggie.
Yeah. Him. They had already gotten them, and they called me in for a meeting and told me about the show. They said they hadn't even pitched it, I guess, at that point, but they had me in mind for this role. And like I said, I was like, anything you do, I'm there, you know.
Are we ever gonna eat? My digestion's about to shut down.
Rounding out the cast was Rosetta Lenore as Estelle, Carl's street-smart mother.
I'll go apologize to Harriet. And to show I'm sincere, I'll try to choke down a piece of that meatloaf.
The 78-year-old actress had starred in the historic all-black version of Macbeth, directed by Orson Welles, but was probably most recognizable from her 16 episodes of Gimme a Break.
You've got a lot of growing up to do, and when you do, you'll realize that your mama is a woman just like you.
Grandma Estelle, Mother Winslow, as she was also known, a short woman, but very strong and big in her presence and her stature. She was this rock-solid foundation of the family, and she was a pretty cool, hip grandma, too. Don't forget she was reading Rolling Stone in the opening theme song.
She had a tough time on Gimme a Break, and so she wasn't sure that she wanted to do any more television because she was getting up in age. And so Bob Boyett called me. He said, well, I called her, and she said no. He said, will you call her? I said, sure. And I called her and I said, Rosette, I know that you thought you wanted to retire. I said, but if ever you were to take a job for people that are going to take care of you, this is the job. And she called him back, she took it.
I'll handle your father at dinner. Your grandma is gonna fight for your right to party.
She was our foundation. She was the anchor.
And theatrical royalty. Yes.
I mean, absolutely opened all the doors.
She was. Every series has a set leader. It can be a director, it can be a star, but it's an emotional foundation that an actor brings to a set. And Rosetta had that.
I love you. Oh, I love you so much.
I love you too, Grandma.
Who she was made everybody want to be better. It made everybody want to be more professional. So Rosetta was really the emotional foundation of the show.
The pilot scored high with test audiences, and ABC ordered a 22-episode first season with one minor change. The role of Judy was recast and went to 9-year-old Jamie Foxworth.
Oh. Stuff. Seal. What are these?
That's the other half of what we're supposed to be stuffing.
Jamie Foxworth was brought in the second episode to play Judy for the rest of that character's run, and she just fit the mold of this character really well.
And the comedy's family-sized.
I told your mama she can move in with us.
The premiere of Family Matters.
Family Matters premiered in September 1989 as the lead-in to Perfect Strangers.
He's got the whole world in his hands.
In the beginning, ratings were good, but not great.
It was a charming show. It wasn't as funny as I think I would like it to be, but it had a central charm to it, which is often the most important thing.
The show was still finding its way when creators William Bickley and Michael Warren sat down to write episode 12, Laura's First Date.
In the script we wrote, it was about Reggie VelJohnson, a father setting up his daughter for a date because he was afraid that she wouldn't get asked to a dance. It's just your basic parent issue.
Laura is gonna get a date, I guarantee it.
So we just sat down in a room, Michael and I, and tried to think of, okay, what's the worst possible date that a father could end up getting for their daughter? And we just designed a character that's rumored to have eaten a mouse, that liked cheese and asked for it when he came into a room. We were just trying to think of the character that the daughter would least like for her father to have set her up for a party.
Hi, Mr. Winslow. I'm Steve Urkel.
Turned out that hideous character turned out to be the most wonderful character that we ever invented.
Is Laura ready for the dance?
So I was actually on my way out of the business. My mom has it to this day. I signed a little index card that said, I promise this is my last year and I'm not gonna waffle back and forth. And I was actually on ice with my agent. When your agent puts you on ice, it means that they're not sending you out anymore. But my assistant and my agent's assistant sent me out for this audition because I had braces on my teeth. So I made the conscious decision. I said, go in this room and never let him meet Jaleel White. And so as I was walking to the room, I remember I just started kind of walking like a geek and everything. And I was just like, hi, nice to meet you. did the voice.
I have to tell you, Mr. Winslow, when my dad said you fixed me out with Laura, why, I thought I'd wet my pants.
Jaleel White walked in the casting room with some sort of character that none of us had ever considered, and brought something to what was supposed to be a one-episode small role, and we were blown away.
I've been crazy about her since the first grade, but she always thought I was some kind of a freak. Go figure.
I always tell people, I'm like, look, I was just a 12-year-old black kid doing an Ed Grimley impersonation.
Oh, and to get to meet Pat Sajak, like I suppose you could do better than that, no way. Because it seems to me that he would be a pretty decent guy, I must say.
But what's so funny about that series is because I'm African American at this time, people are not thinking that my influences were white. So what I was doing was coming off completely original. And I think I booked the job within 24 hours.
I hope you don't mind if I stay a while. My parents told me not to come home till 10.
People would ask me about it, with the show. I said, we were a good soup. Boiling, we had all this spice, but boy, we needed that salt. When he came in and threw that salt up in there, it was a pot that nobody could just get enough of, you know what I mean? And every time we finished the show and we would hear people screaming and clapping and everything, we knew that first step was not our last step, and it was going on, and we were going to the moon.
Hello, y'all. I'm Steve's cousin, Myrtle Urkel.
At the end of that first episode, though, I went in my dressing room and I cried. And then the producers came to check on me, and my dad told them that I would never do that character again.
Wow, are you wearing a bra?
Who are you, and why are those flowers dripping on my floor?
Family Matters premiered on ABC in 1989. After a slow start, the show took off when a bold, new character was introduced midway through the first season.
Did I do that?
We had no intention that the character was going to go more than the one episode. In fact, my partner Michael named the character after somebody he knew. The whole name. He knew a person named Steve Urkel. we don't usually do that if it's going to be a regular character because sometimes people don't appreciate that.
The iconic Steve Urkel was played by Jaleel White. This was the 13-year-old actor's second sitcom, having already co-starred as comedian Flip Wilson's son in the short-lived Charlie and Company.
Did you hear something? I thought I heard something. It sounded like a bear talking to a monster.
Urkel is the neighbor next door who is so annoying, you have to love him. He is a quintessential nerd. Suspenders, high pants, white socks, thick bifocals. He's that guy.
Hi, Laura. I hear you can't get a date for the dance.
So in the first episode, Laura actually wanted this one kid to ask her out.
You can forget about Mark. He's gonna ask Jo Beth Hensley.
And I was just this thing getting in the way.
Did I mention my dad knows Wayne Newton?
And Carl took it upon himself because he thought Laura was having a hard time getting a date to the dance, to ask me without ever asking. Did you ask like my father or something? You called?
Something like that.
Yeah, and without ever having seen me.
Does your son, Steve, by any chance happen to have a date to the party tomorrow night?
So he hooked her up with the school nerd on his own volition, just trying to do the right thing. And then I remember I came through the door and I just kind of did this thing, you know, in the doorway with those flowers.
Hi, Mr. Winslow. I'm Steve Urkel.
And again, it was a deliberate motion. Like I did this thing when I introduced myself, and Carl gives me this look. It's just like, what the hell have I done? And you know, at that point, I just became, in the first episode, something to hide, you know, in the house while we get Laura on the date with the real boy who, you know, she wants to go on.
Why don't you go in the kitchen there and wash off the roots?
Good idea, Mr. Winslow.
And I think our chemistry started immediately.
Yes. Excuse me.
What have I done?
Anyway, there was a frat there that night. And, you know, everybody wasn't social media back then. Sometimes they used to have to corral people to come watch tapings of television shows that weren't hits yet. So I don't know what was in it for this particular frat, but it was like all white guys from some college in here in the Southland, and they started chanting the character's name in between the scenes that I wasn't in.
What's your name, sugar?
Steve.
After that weekend passed, got a call from the producers, and they said they were bringing me back. And over the weekend, they made a deal with my agent for the rest of the season. And after that, it's just...
It's history.
It's history.
Now, if you want to do the Steve Urkel dance, all you have to do is hitch up your pants, bend your knees, and stick out your pelvis. I'm telling you, baby, it's better than Elvis.
Urkel took off like a rocket in pop culture. He was actually probably like the first nerd chic. There was nothing chic about him, but there was so much merchandise built around how popular his character became.
In the 90s, you pretty much couldn't go anywhere without running into Steve Urkel in one form or another. They sold Urkelos at the grocery store. They sold Urkel talking dolls at the toy store.
Let me introduce you to the Urkel doll. He's got my look, my laugh, my voice, and all. Can I do that?
So basically, you could not get away from Steve Urkel. Even if you didn't watch Family Matters in the 90s, you knew who Steve Urkel was.
Did I do that?
Urkel's catchphrase that you can't forget, did I do that?
Did I do that?
I don't even do it justice. It was so annoying. But did I do that was huge. Everyone to this day will say it.
Did I do that?
Did I do that just became this thing that became synonymous with me doing something completely obvious and then saying it afterwards.
Did I do that?
We had a few phrases back then. I remember the commercial, I've fallen, I can't get up.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Right, remember that?
Yeah.
We stole that.
I'm falling, I can't get up.
And listen, back then you didn't really know what was going to be a catchphrase that was going to stick. Nowadays, things are so contrived. It's like, oh, we've got our catchphrase, and they'll just drill into your head whether the audience is like it or not.
I'm wearing you down, baby.
It was just like sometimes a delivery can mean more than what was actually said. So for a lot of those things, like did I do that, it was just the delivery.
Did I do that? Man, I add some chlorodeoxycycline to my bosox. It makes my DNA reconfigure in parallel genetic structures.
In a super bizarro twist, Steve created this transformation type machine that allowed him to become other people. So throughout the seasons, we saw him become Bruce Lee, Elvis.
Sorry, I got mad. I guess I was all shook up.
And a bunch of other famous people, oddly. It was always sort of a bit of a side gag. But once again, I think it stretched Jaleel White to become all these different characters.
As far as the characters were concerned, it got to a point where it just got preposterous. It just got to the point where it was just like, yeah, you're gonna play Albert Einstein, you're gonna play Bruce Lee. It was just one after the next. And Myrtle was an interesting journey for me. Because as an actor, though, I always believe that if I believe it, they'll believe it. So I had to be a girl.
Hello, y'all. I'm Steve's cousin, Myrtle Urkel.
And I was, you know, sometimes I even take offense a little bit, but I chill, I get it. When certain people always, you know, they go to the place of, oh, they always have to put a black man in a dress or whatever. It was like, nah. There are certain performances, you know, that are just, you know, they're just classic performances.
But you did a darn good job.
And so I committed to it.
Ooh, Eddie, that name rolls off my tongue like honey.
And at that age, I was concerned that my friends at school were gonna make fun of me. Because again, I'm that athlete first. But once I commit to something, I'm in, I'm locked in.
Ooh, Sparks.
But he did it so well. And he had me going like this, because one character he was in love with my daughter, the next one he was in love with my son. You know, I was going back and forth. But when he sat down at the table, he was so convincing, because one episode I was painting his nails and he was saying, but Harriet.
But have you ever thought that, well, maybe Eddie, well, maybe you're not Eddie's type?
And like I said, it just kept me like this, these different characters.
No boy can resist Myrtle Urkel. Well, I'm gonna take that boy like Grant took Richmond.
At the end of that first episode, though, of Myrtle, I went in my dressing room and I cried. And then the producers came to check on me, and my dad told them that I would never do that character again. Because I just wanted to get through the episode, because I was too worried, and I knew I had done it so well. I was like, damn, they definitely gonna make fun of me at school for this. I mean, I'm like, I had gone there.
What are you doing?
I'm your dream come true.
You're a nightmare. Now go home.
And ironically, when I did go to school after the first time I did it, no one made fun of me. Everybody just thought it was absolutely hysterical. So sometimes it's kind of interesting how we heap these societal concerns on other people that are not even experiencing that at all. Everybody at school just thought it was a great performance.
What's going on in here?
Unfortunately, not much.
So I had too much pride at that point, at that age, to go back then and say, hey, I want to play it again.
To continue chasing after you would be humiliating and unworthy of an Urkel. I, sir, am a lady.
And so it took about 2 to 3 years in between, and I was just kind of bored, just random on a lunch hour. And I went into the writer's room and I said, if you guys want to do Myrtle again, like, I'll do it. And I remember they just cheered.
Hi, y'all.
It was a good shot in the arm. At that age, I was starting to get a good idea for what were going to be good sweep episodes. And I just felt like we needed the shot. And that's how Myrtle came back.
But make sure to save room for dessert.
And what's for dessert?
Me.
we loved you so much, you know. And I remember coming through the set one day, and he was crying. I know he missed his mother, but we were all there for him. So you have always been special to me, and you've turned out so beautifully.
Thank you, Joe.
Family Matters premiered in 1989, and by season 2 was a huge hit for ABC.
Hi, welcome to TGIF.
For 6 straight years, the show kicked off the network's famed TGIF lineup.
And I wasn't sure that Family Matters would be successful until the character of Steve Urkel started rolling.
Did I do that?
In the second season, the show also added a new actor to the cast. 4-year-old Bryton James stepped into the role of Aunt Rachel's young son, Richie, who'd been previously played by a baby.
I will go upstairs and put my little man to bed and change my clothes.
So as sitcoms are wont to do, baby Richie was aged up in season 2, because babies are not really that interesting to watch on TV. So in season 2, Richie became a 4-year-old played by Bryton James. And he was just kind of a cute, mischievous little kid, and he really idolized Steve Urkel, which I think is something that Steve Urkel had never experienced up to that point. So they also had kind of a cute little relationship.
Guess what? I'm asking Santa for a Freddy Teddy. Really? Have you been a good boy this year? I had a pretty good August.
Family Matters was my very first audition for a television show. And I was 3 years old. I had only done a couple commercials here and there. My parents knew nothing about the industry, so we were very new.
Richie Crawford?
Well, Bryton is one of those rare finds. It's a kid that's born with this sort of supernatural talent.
Mommy?
Yes, sweetie?
I'm glad Uncle Carl is back.
Richie, he didn't go anywhere.
Yes, he did. Aunt Harriet said that he was in the doghouse.
And on the audition, it lasted about 10 minutes, and by the time I got home, I had a call back, and then here I am.
You know, I love this room. It reminds me so much of a kitchen.
Waldo, this is a kitchen.
Whoa.
Season 2 was also the introduction of the dim-witted Waldo Geraldo Faldo, played by 16-year-old Shawn Harrison.
He is originally a sidekick to the neighborhood bully.
Hey, what you gonna do, Willie? I'ma trash Urkel's locker. Why you gonna do that, Willie? 'Cause it's Tuesday. Again?
But he evolves into the best friend of Eddie, and he is dumb as rocks. Like, that's really his character.
Tonight's just one big crazy mix-up.
You telling me I'm here for gym class.
I remember Shawn, when Shawn came to us.
Yes.
And I remember meeting his mother.
Yes.
And his mother was so wonderful, and she was always baking us peach cobblers and pies and all these different things. And we loved her to death.
Yes.
But shortly after that, Shawn lost his mother.
Yeah.
And I always said that she brought Shawn to the set for us to raise.
Yes.
And we fell in love with him like he was one of our own. And we knew that he didn't have a brother or sister, so we embraced him. You know, we loved you so much, you know. And I remember coming through the set one day, and he was crying. And I know he was in the kitchen by himself, and I was coming through, and I said, Shawn, what's the matter? And he was crying. I know he missed his mother, but we were all there for him. So you have always been special to me. But I feel like your mother brought you to us for us to help raise you and raise you the right way. And you've turned out so beautifully.
Thank you, Joe. And I appreciate the fact that I had an additional support system for me at the time, because the show was in production. There was no break for me between my mom passing and having to come and stick with the schedule that they already had lined up. But everybody, cast, crew, everyone was very, very, very supportive, very understanding of the very trying and difficult time that I was going through. So I appreciate all the love and support that you guys all extended to me during those years.
Really appreciate it. Amen.
And that's real stuff. That ain't no.
Yeah.
Hollywood stuff. That's real.
Life.
That's real mama love.
But I hit that door, and to this day, I've never seen such complete shock and awe and screaming from people in an audience. We did 215 episodes, and there's certain episodes that really just stand out for me.
I enjoyed the quilt. My favorite episode was the quilt.
Laura, you didn't sew your grandmother's quilt.
That quilt has been in our family for 200 years. That quilt is priceless.
Where Laura finds this quilt and sells the quilt that my mother made, and that's my favorite of all the time. And just,
I think now is a good time to tell everybody the story of the quilt.
Yeah. Tell us quick before Laura sells it again.
Somebody in the cast, maybe more than one person, mentioned the idea of the quilt and what the meaning of a quilt had in a black family.
This quilt was started by your great-great-great-great-grandmother, Amy Rose.
And the quilt had such a resonance to us and to everyone involved in the show that we knew we wanted to do it.
Amy Rose wanted a record of our family in one place. It was to be passed down from generation to generation.
That's
it
my
was
favorite.
Just a sweet, sweet story because it really did give a history.
Each piece of cloth has a special meaning. This was a piece of your great aunt's wedding dress, right, Mom?
That's right.
And tell why this piece of cloth basically was so precious.
I think I know the perfect place to keep this quilt. Where's that? In Laura's room. What do you say, sweetheart?
You mean you trust me with the quilt?
Now more than ever.
I never let it out of my sight, I promise. Until the day I give it to my daughter.
It was just a great episode. Something I loved about our show, there was always a message and there was always something good. There was like a nugget at the end, but the quilt was my favorite.
I love you. Oh, I love you so much.
I love you too, Grandma.
We did this episode called Baker's Dozen.
Carl, the restaurant wants to buy your tarts.
The restaurant wants to buy my tarts?
Yes!
Who had to make all these?
Rachel.
Rachel
Got everybody in
Rachel had to
trouble.
Rachel had to make all these pies, right?
Tarts.
Tarts. They were tarts. They were tarts. Thank you for correcting me. Tarts, all right?
12,000 tarts by Monday?
And I just remember, and I was new to the show at that point, and I was just like, man, they get to throw pies at each other.
We work hard for the money, so you better treat us right.
Wow! I'm like, I want to be in this scene. Like, how can I get in this scene? So I remember going up to David Duclain after a run through, and I said, David, please, just whatever you do, can I just be in this scene? I don't care what I have to do.
Say your prayers, Winslow.
And he and Gary Ventura just looked at each other like, yeah, we put you in this scene. And what happened was they would send you a script at night with a courier. So the script came, and I'm like excited, going through the script to see if they put me in the pie fight, because I want to get my swing on. I want to throw pies at Darius and Kellie. I got a good arm, baby. We about to do this. And these suckers made me come in at the end of the scene
and get pie.
And just say, Heidi Ho Winslows, or whatever came out of my mouth.
I saw your lights were on. Got anything to eat?
They all stopped and turned and just threw all their pies at me. And listen, I don't know if they were taking something out on me or what. But I did it. I didn't complain even when I saw it, but them pies came so hard and rough at me. And if you even go back and you look, you see me stumbling and staggering and everything. They didn't hold nothing back. I didn't get to throw nothing at you. I just took pies.
I said, stop it. I made him stop it. I was ready to beat everybody up there.
Hey! Look at you people. Look at my kitchen. Have you all lost your minds? He started it.
I did not.
My favorite episode, there's a lot of fun ones. My favorite one was a Halloween episode.
Where's Richie? That's what we don't know.
Is it the one where I lost you?
When I got lost, yeah. Waldo lost me.
Waldo, man, you really messed up this time. This is the dumbest thing you've ever done.
Hey, you left a small kid with me, and you calling me dumb?
You guys are talking about these real moments, you know, that you had between each other, and I was all of 4 probably, and you know, learning who you guys are, and you guys are becoming my family at that young age, and then the scene that Darius and I did at the end when he got emotional and cried, thinking about losing me, you know.
See, I don't just like you. I love you, little guy.
And I knew I knew what we were doing. It was all pretend, but it was the first time I got to see from this new person in my life this real emotion. I knew it was real. I knew how much he cared about me because they all did, but he was one of the ones that really...
Oh, man, you're gonna make me cry, man. Cut that out, man. That was my little guy. That was my little dude.
At first, it was like a first acting moment too, because I remember my parents helping me prepare for it. Was, you know, this is the situation. You gotta act like you're scared in this and disappointed in him.
So did you get much candy with Waldo?
Are you kidding? He threw eggs at houses and then rang the doorbell. We spent the whole night running.
And so it's, you know, these guys are used to pretending and doing real kind of heavy stuff like that. So that was my first go around, and to feel that with him it stood out.
I like that.
Steve?
Steve? Steve who?
My favorite episode would have to be Stefan Urkel's first episode. And the only reason why is because it came such a shock to me that people were so interested in seeing me as me.
No. There is no Steve here. I'm Stefan, sweet thing.
I thought it was boring. And I remember telling our producer, David Duclan, this is boring. And he was like, people need to see you this way. That to me started, I feel like puberty started for me that night.
You are worth another trip.
I do. Because basically what that character was, you know, I was over complimenting every Winslow family.
BG.
BG?
Well, big guy, of course.
I used to love to compliment this guy, you know, because he'd do this little giggle and shimmy.
Hey, are you losing weight? Turn sideways. Uh-oh, where'd you go?
He don't even remember his
Like he was there. Were you even there?
Were you present?
Are you Reggie?
Was I there?
Yeah, right. I love that episode because when I hit the door, and to this day, I've never seen such complete shock and awe and screaming from people in an audience.
Please, party on, party on.
And if it wasn't for my discipline to never break character when you got them going, I really would have just stopped and been like, really?
It's you! It's really you! Peace, baby.
I would have just stopped the scene and just been like, but you don't ever break magic when it's happening. And instead, the skill you developed is to milk something.
We have some serious honeys in here. Oh, this party is the bomb.
So it was just kind of like, oh, I really got y'all on the hook like this?
Yo, Stefan.
Yo, Eduardo, my man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know that handshake.
How could you? I just made it up.
That episode to me just meant a lot to me because I I felt like there's some kind of bridge there for me becoming a young man.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I say I want to take that show, I want to take that show. It was like every scene, I nailed it to the best of my ability.
I did all my Christmas shopping in one day.
And you fit every gift in that little bag.
Oh no, these are the receipts.
Family Matters premiered in 1989 and ran for an incredible 215 episodes.
Oh my God!
But midway through the 9th season, the hit series lost its very first cast member when Marie Payton decided to leave the show.
How did a guy like me ever end up with a genius like you?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Including her time on Perfect Strangers, Payton had played Harriet Winslow for more than a decade.
When it was time to go, I had already put in 10 and a half years I had done this character. And the way I explain is that when you're a baker, you don't always want to bake cakes or cookies. You want to bake pies. You want to bake bread. I wanted to do something else. So when it was time for me to go, I did like my mother said, when it's time to go home, just take your toys and go home.
Instead of writing the character off, creators Bickley and Warren decided to recast the role, which went to 50-year-old Judy Ann Elder.
Hi, Harriet. How are you, Harriet?
What are we talking about, dear?
Oh, I was telling Steve about how I was going steady with Georgia when I met you.
Oh, her.
Wow, it was hard for me to, after 9 years of doing something with one person, it's like getting a divorce and marrying somebody else, and it was weird.
I mean, honestly, I can just say, like Reggie said, no disrespect to Judith who came in to play her, but I felt like my mom was gone.
You'll always be beautiful to me.
It was hard, and I'm glad that she's here today.
In the end, Payton only missed out on 15 episodes because after 9 wildly successful seasons, Family Matters finally said goodbye in 1998 with a 2-part series finale.
It's a long-standing Urkel tradition to wait 3 months before consummating the marriage.
But Steve.
Okay, you talk me out of it.
I mean, really, honestly, the last episode was really emotional, I think, for all of us.
I remember the last episode very vividly. Very vividly, actually. What I remember most about the show is I want to take the show. I mean, when I say I want to take that show, I want to take that show. It was like every scene, I nailed it to the best of my ability.
The International Space Program has chosen you to be the first student in space.
In the 2-part finale, Urkel gets a call from NASA, and they're telling him he is the first student to be invited to space due to this gravity invention that he made.
What's the matter, Houston? Well, the AGF 5000 has drawn a satellite off course. Where's it headed? Right at you.
While in space, Urkel's gravity machine causes a satellite to go out of its orbit, and it actually shoots into the spaceship that Urkel and his fellow astronauts are on.
I hope this baby has airbags.
And it's looking a little scary. It's like a little bit of Apollo 13 happening in this episode.
The Explorer is spinning out of control, and I'm about to blow chunks.
All right, Steve. You're gonna have to stabilize the ship.
The other crew members get knocked out when trying to correct the ship, so it's up to Urkel to save the day.
Congratulations, Steve. Course correction completed.
The satellite's antenna punctured the hull. I figure we can break it off and patch it from the inside.
The crew needs to dislodge this satellite from the spaceship, but because they've all been knocked out and injured, basically, there's no one left to do it but Urkel.
You're going to have to send out the nerd.
Holy macanole.
So he straps on his suit and goes outside to try to fix it.
I did it! I got the satellite! I did it!
Way to go, Steve.
Only one problem.
What's that?
I'm floating away with it.
He manages to free it, but in Urkel fashion, he forgets to attach his tether, and he is floating off into space with the satellite.
See, what I'm thinking is, what if I hotwire this sucker?
Things look hopeless, but you can never count Urkel out. So he ends up jerry-rigging this satellite to get its thrusters working. He basically thrusts himself back to the spaceship just in time before his oxygen runs out.
Oh my God, it's a miracle. I can't believe this. The nerd's okay.
He is welcomed home as a hero, and everyone is so happy to see him, including his future father-in-law, who hates Urkel. He always had.
I have told everybody at work about my future son-in-law.
Really?
Welcome home, son.
Thanks, Dad.
But having him back and safe and sound, he's very, very happy, and it's a big moment.
Do I get a welcome home kiss?
On one condition.
Well, what's that?
That you'll never go into outer space again.
Only when we kiss, Larlie. Only when we kiss.
And then I just remember at the end of the show, it was like Kellie and Darius are there, and we're about to go out for outros to say bye to the audience, and it was like that's when I broke. That's when the tears started.
I think I experienced it a little different. Like, I already knew that I would miss seeing you guys. I knew that that my life would be different. I spent probably 42 weeks a year at Telma's house during the weekends. She was like my other mother. Jo Marie, you know what I'm saying? These people are family. And to not have that same amount of time and energy with them was difficult for a long time.
Everybody!
Nearly 20 years after their emotional final episode, Family Matters remains the third longest running African-American sitcom ever made. And for fans hoping for a reboot, the cast is ready, willing, and most definitely able.
Jaleel and I were talking just a little while ago, and he said, we can do this. And I said, if they dropped a script at our feet when we walked out of here, we would come back in tomorrow, and the next day we'd have a show shot.
Absolutely. Because we all have that rhythm.
We have the rhythm.
We have it,
and we haven't lost it. Like I said, as soon as you're together, it's back to normal.
Back to normal.
When I look back on it, I can almost look back on it as a third party now. Like when I see myself on BET and Centric and all these different outlets and now Hulu, I look at the screen and I'm like, wow, man, who is that guy? Like I know that guy, but that guy lives inside of me almost like in the sunken place, like he really does.
I think there's just something really magical about this cast and the real feelings that are here. It wasn't just for the screen. It was that kind of show. Family really did matter.
I will never have another experience like this ever again, and I know it. Yeah. These kids were little kids when I came on the show, and we watched them grow up to be excellent adults, and I'm gonna miss them as I miss them today. And Family Matters will always be very special to me in my heart.